Hi everyone, I am here to introduce a new award for young adult books called the Remix Award. In order to fully understand the importance of an award like this, we're going to talk a little bit about the quote-unquote traditional literary canon. There's no arguing that those stories from the American literary canon are often important, and they've been taught and discussed in classrooms for many years for a reason. However, many readers might struggle with those texts because they do not reflect the diversity of our modern world and represent very limited viewpoints, primarily white, Western, cishet, and male. And it's important to consider the predominant narratives that surface repeatedly in American culture and consider questions, especially like whose stories are absent in our classrooms. The pool of young adult literature grows larger and deeper every year, reaching and representing more and more teens as time passes and societal attitudes fluctuate. But one subsection of young adult literature that has especially grown in the last few years is the idea of retellings, and not just silly ones like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Shakespeare, Sherlock Holmes, Edgar Allan Poe, Lord of the Flies, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and more. They've all been reworked time and time again because, as beloved as those stories are, they don't quite represent the modern young adult and the incredibly diverse communities we live in today. As the International Literary Association notes, although many texts in the canon shaping classrooms have themes that are universal, intercultural, and timely, extending our reach for literature beyond the historical scope of classics to include literature that portrays the vibrant and dynamic lives students bring to today's classrooms remains essential. When books don't fit that criteria, authors and readers notice that gap and they work to fill it. In the realm of youth media awards, we have left a gap for honoring those works that subvert stories by reworking plots, characters, and themes to actively carve out a space in the literary canon for more diverse audiences. The Remix Award will celebrate books that draw inspiration from classic novels, mythologies, or fairy tales and retell those stories with the diverse twists. The books that are honored with the Remix Award provide valuable representation for those marginalized communities who are underrepresented by classic literature, whether that's a famous, widely studied novel or an old Greek myth. Additionally, retellings make challenging and uninteresting stories or themes more accessible to the modern young adult audience, especially reluctant readers. To really drive home the point of how valuable books like these can be, let's take a look at a book ladder, a series of books that grows more challenging from start to finish, that help readers get from one text to another, a more challenging one. Books like Littler Women and Great or Nothing can be valuable stepping stones that give readers an idea of plot points and character types that might pop up in Little Women before they read that more challenging text. They can help young people connect to the themes of a classic story, or even be used in the classroom to do things like teach compare and contrast strategies, or simply get young people a bit more interested in the material that they're covering in the classroom. Now, our inaugural award looks at books published during 2022 and 2023. Books will be considered for the award if they meet the following criteria. They must be written for young adults ages 12 to 18. They must be a retelling of a classic novel or story, mythology, or a fairy tale that subverts the Western, white, male, and/or cishet aspects of the literary canon with a diverse twist that provides representation for readers who are largely underrepresented in those narratives. And it must clearly include elements of the original story that inspired the retelling. Now, for this year's best retellings, our three honor books are One for All by Lily Lainoff, Spin by Rebecca Caprara, and At Midnight, an anthology edited by Dahlia Adler. Let's take a deeper dive into these honor books. One for All is a gender-bent retelling of Three Musketeers that centers themes of friendship, independence, and purpose. It provides important representation for readers with disabilities, showing them that they still have the power to be the heroes in adventurous stories. The main character, Tanya, has POTS, or Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome, inspired by the author's own experiences with the condition. Tanya's disability never stops her from proving herself strong, capable, and a value addition to the core group. Spin is a retelling of the myth of Athena and Arachne, written in verse. Caprara's novel in verse provides a new feminist take on this classic myth, as well as quality LGBTQ+ representation for young women who love women. At Midnight is a collection of 15 stories from diverse authors that put a new spin on old fairy tales. This collection is perfect for readers who love classic fairy tales and want to see more cultures and identities represented in those stories. The authors each draw on their personal diverse experiences to breathe new life into old stories. And now it's time for our inaugural winner. M is for Monster by Talia Dutton. Let's take a closer look. This graphic novel draws inspiration from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Experimental scientist Frances brings her dead sister back to life, but things don't quite go as she expected. Dutton does an excellent job of combining elements of the original Frankenstein story and gorgeous artwork to create a modern allegory for the LGBTQ+ experiences of identity discovery, family trauma, and self-acceptance. So that's why that's our winner. And that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I highly encourage you to check out these sources for further reading and information about diversifying the literary canon. Thank you.